Good morning, everybody. Myself, Dr. Ume Habiba, and today I am going to explain you about the diversity of non-chordates, which is the topic in the BSc first sem zoology, under which I will explain you about the animal architecture. That is a basic information in which today we will discuss about the body symmetry in animals. As all of you know that body symmetry is one of the important animal architecture which is also a biological characteristic feature used to classify the organisms. So the explanation of the body symmetry is that the organism body parts are arranged around a point or an axis. By this, there are different types of body symmetry which we will be discussing in the further classes. It is also one of the fundamental characteristic feature that determines an organism shape and structure. In the similar way, it holds the evolutionary importance with the implications to locomotion, the feeding strategies, along with that the sensory perception among the species. The body symmetry helps to offer the insights into the evolutionary biology of organisms and their ecological roles. There are the different types of body symmetry. They are the spherical, radial, biradial, bilateral. Along with that, we have one more, the asymmetric symmetry. First, we will discuss about the spherical symmetry. Spherical symmetry is the symmetry which is present in the living organisms in which all parts are arranged concentrically around a central point. So, it refers to the balanced arrangement of the object around a central point like a sphere. This is the example where we can explain the body symmetry, that is the spherical symmetry. So here you have the different planes, plane 1 of symmetry 1, plane of symmetry 2, plane of symmetry 3 and plane of symmetry 4. This particular spherical body symmetry where any plane passing through that point divides the organism into two identical halves. So this type of symmetry is found in the microorganisms, that is a simple microorganisms, and examples are radiolaria, heliozoa and volvox. The organisms that are spherical in shape have the spherical type of the symmetry. The examples include volvox that forms hollow spherical colonies composed of 1,000 flagellated cells and also embedded in the gelatinous matrix. The next one is the heliozoa. Their bodies are roughly spherical and their parts radiate equally from a central point like the spokes of the wheel or the rays of the sun. The next type of the symmetry is the radial symmetry. So, radial symmetry is a type of symmetry where the organism can be divided into two equal halves by multiple planes that pass through its central axis. So, here the central axis, it is the central axis which is present in the center of the organism where it can be divided into similar halves by the multiple planes. So, here you have the structure of the starfish in which there are the planes of the symmetry, and this symmetry allows this organism to have been divided into similar halves by multiple planes. And also this symmetry allows the organisms to sense, capture food, defend themselves and respond to the stimuli. The examples under this radial symmetry are jellyfish, sea anemones, corals and the sea urchins. So here the radial symmetry also can help in reproduction for the certain organisms in which starfish can regenerate their limbs if they are lost, and the symmetry allows for the easy regrowth and the balance. These are some of the examples for the radial symmetry, such as the jellyfish, the body, simple body symmetry with the bell shaped body and the stinging tentacles. And also one more example is the sea anemone, where the body consists of a soft cylindrical stalk topped by an oral disc surrounded by venomous tentacles. The next type of the body symmetry is the biradial symmetry. So it is a different type of symmetry where then organism can be divided into two equal halves along two specific planes that pass through its center. Okay, so here you have the examples called as the nidaria, where you find this particular plane where the planes are not independent of each other, and they can be divided into two equal halves by two planes of the symmetry. That means only two specific planes can be there, equal halves can be there, that passing through the center. It combines the features of both radial and the bilateral symmetry. Example, ctenophores, that is the comb jellies. Here you can find the difference between the two symmetries, that is the radial symmetry and the biradial symmetry, in which the radial symmetry can be divided in many planes. So here this is the example, and this is a proper explanation of the radial symmetry as well as the biradial symmetry, where you find this radial symmetry in which can in many planes, in any planes, if you divide, you will get the equal halves. But the biradial symmetries can be divided equally only in two planes. So if you find here, it can be divided into only two planes, where the biradial symmetry, bi means two. So along with this two planes, we can divide the organism in two planes, that is two equal planes. Okay, this is the example, or this is the explanation of the biradial symmetry. So the next one is the important symmetry, that is the bilateral symmetry. So as you all of you know that bilateral symmetry is a type of symmetry which can be in which the organism can be divided into two mirror image halves through a single central plane. There is an imaginary axis line that divides the organism into two equal halves, that is the mirror images. Okay, and this particular symmetry helps the organism to be present in a proper posture. Okay, which helps the organism for the different physiological activities. Along with that, this bilateral symmetry, about 90% of the organisms exhibit this bilateral symmetry. So here, this body plane allows streamlined movement, making it ideal for animals for more actively participate in the search of food or escape from the predators. So here, cephalization is also one of the important feature of the bilateral symmetry, and the concentration of the sensory organs and the brain at the anterior end allows for the proper processing of the environmental stimuli. Okay, so here the organism structure is arranged in a proper way, in which cephalization, that is the formation of head, is there, which includes the sensory organs and helps the organism to act to the stimuli properly. Okay, so here 99% of the animals, such as the phylum, the phyla called chordata, annelida, arthropoda, nematoda, and most molluscans and humans exhibit the bilateral symmetry. So this is one of the very important symmetry, in which the organism can be divided into two mirror image halves through a single central plane. So we get the two mirror images when we have the axis in the center of the individual. And the typical examples include the dogs, cats, elephants, sharks, centipedes, and the ants. So this particular symmetry is very critical for the complex behavior such as learning, memory, and the decision making. This is one of the symmetry which is present in many of the organisms, and we human beings also exhibit this type of symmetry. So this is a very good example of the bilateral symmetry, in which you can clearly observe the equal halves. The equal halves on the right hand side is similar to that of the left hand side, where you have the wings, the limbs, the antennae, and the parts that are considered as the mirror images on either side of the individual. So this is a very exact or the typical example of the bilateral symmetry. One more, you have the symmetry that is called as asymmetrical symmetry or asymmetry. So this refers to the lack of the symmetry, where one side of the object or the organism does not mirror to the other. Okay, so here you don't have the symmetry. Asymmetry means absence of symmetry. This you don't have in your syllabus, but still I'm going to explain you this, where asymmetry is a lack of the symmetry, and where one side of the object or the organism does not mirror to the other. So you have many examples in nature that has been found in the asymmetry, that such as in the nature, such as the broken leaf, the rock, the shape of the tree branch are the examples. There are also the individuals, the non-living individual things that are having the asymmetry, symmetry or the asymmetry, where the organism do not have any symmetry, and you don't find it in the proper symmetry, and in the for the examples you find in the nature as well as in the art. This is the reference, Invertebrate Zoology by P.S. Verma and the Zoology for Degree Students by Agarwal. Thank you.